Low-cost airlines that take passengers from point A to point B with no frills have been a roaring success for some years in South Africa. And there have been a number of airlines fighting for passengers on price, including the likes of Mango Airlines, Kulula.com and FlySafair, and others that stopped operating some time back, like One Time.
The low-cost sector has really grown a lot in the last, say, 15 to 20 years. And we've seen a major development in terms of its market share ever growing. But one should remember that so has the full-service network carriers.
Being sustainable as a low-cost carrier has been challenging for many, with some eventually going out of business because of the thin profit margins involved. The COVID-19 pandemic dealt a severe blow to the aviation industry, with Mango Airlines going into business rescue and no longer operating. Comair has also been in business rescue and recently had to halt its low-cost Kulula.com service, as well as its more traditional British Airways service, due to funding issues. Union NUMSA has raised concerns about the survivability of both airlines, with the obvious consequences that would have for jobs. Experts say post-COVID, the demand fundamentals remain weak.
Now, COVID-19 has changed that whole scene because your average demand is now far less, which has allowed the regional carriers to actually enter the low-cost market with slightly smaller aircraft than the 180 seaters, but also offering very, very good economics as a result of improvements in aerodynamics and engine-related issues.
So playing in the aviation industry is clearly not for the faint-hearted. Since COVID, it's become an even more volatile arena. But one of the founders of local airline Lift, which operates the Johannesburg to Cape Town route, says COVID actually opened a window of opportunity for them to get into the game.
Aircraft were available at much lower costs than they were previously, because there were so many that were grounded. People were incredible people, talented, experienced people from the industry were available, because there were, at the time we started preparing, both SAA and Comair were not operating. And so there was a huge amount of experience available. So we were able to bring those people onto the team.
In a still low-demand environment, low-cost airlines are being advised to rather have smaller aircraft in order to better ensure that most of their capacity is taken up. It's hoped that if Kulula.com and British Airways do survive, lessons on how to come back into the market will have been learned.
The one thing that I think that Comair has learned is that, if you restart, you should restart on a smaller level. I think to go to about 40% of the capacity output is just too quick and too large for the current circumstances. So I think that if they restart, that will probably be a very dear lesson learned.
The higher jet fuel price is another major pressure for operators, and it's not always easy to pass the increases onto passengers immediately. So how can airlines, big or small, survive what has become a very volatile market environment with still low demand levels?
It's an extremely difficult market to operate in at the moment. You said it. I mean, fuel has more than doubled in the last year, and I'm sure you're aware it's the single largest input cost into operating a flight. And so it's very difficult to plan and to predict what is going to happen. And I think the key thing for airlines, all airlines, is the ability to be agile and nimble and adapt to the changing market conditions as best as you can.
With the recent news that Comair's business rescue practitioners do not believe that the company has any prospect of raising the necessary funds to resume its Kulula.com and British Airways operations, this reduces the competitive landscape in the South African aviation sector. Less competition could be negative for consumers, especially in an environment of higher fuel prices. Nompumelelo Siziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.